Welcome to TradeTheMBA.com. This is John. This reports for the 25th. Well, it's like we talked about the other day. Despite the pullback and everything else, what are you left with? There's no other place for money to go other than into the market because you're not going to get it from treasuries and things like this. So it really is a forced yield situation where you get a discount, you got to buy it. At this particular time. And we saw this from the short-term buyers popping up as that retrace was completely bought back up. And then again, it started off slightly weak and boom, it was just a matter of buying. They got support from midterm buyers here in the green popping up on the DOC. And again, we look for that magenta to have crossed when we started to break down here, didn't get it. And when that retraced coming back down, all we're getting is a reset of everything. We have slightly rising gold. It's been minor, but enough to just sustain things. And that's where we find it. And of course, the NASDAQ was a little steeper, completely filling back in from the lows, but the NASDAQ has been the leader in this particular case. And it had actually crossed on its power mode too, but immediately those short-term buyers were strong enough to hold it. And it didn't get quite the same reaction as the S&P. Because S&P performed a little bit stronger because its readings were better, and you're not getting that mid-level support. So if that turns around, you could get a significant push both from the NASDAQ as well as the S&P, because that would really drive things to the upside. From a gold standpoint, not helpful because you're still not seeing any inflation. And of course, with the euro, that talk of huge stimulus from the U.S. side is only going to elevate things, which makes them happy. You'll get it from a Bitcoin standpoint. We'd rally back up about 50% of that first decline move, beautifully right between the algo setups. And then another weakness setup came. What's interesting about this one, and that's why I thought it was worth noting, is we got the steel crossing below the cyan, at the same time green falling with the orange spike. And you had your little immediate turnaround, but in that turnaround, you still had falling midterm buyers. So even though that short-term push went to the upside, you still had negative shakeout in that. So in my case, that's one of those where I look at it and say, hey, that's an opportunity for additional weakness. And sure enough, it came right back down. Now, will it have broader effect? Well, you get to dip below the red line, so I think there's probably going to be either some more basing or a little pullback in there. I thought I'd throw this one in because, again, not hard to see. This is GameStop. Everyone's talking about the huge move, and the shock of everything in that. But from an intraday standpoint, it started off basing, and then you had this continual rise of DOC red, and sure enough, then cyan under red, always buy, and sure enough, it was one heck of a significant buy. As you saw that massive move take things forward, and actually it's going to be up again here in the pre-market as well. But interestingly enough, one algo level to the next. Coincidence? Yeah, not likely. So from an intraday standpoint on the 5K ES, which is the S&P, we had some pretty clean short signals that took place through there, and then we started to see this gentle improvement of DOC red as it started to climb back up. You ended up with your cyan under red, and then from there that was just a takeoff point. And I didn't change it. In fact, I deleted some of the extra lines that were in between, but we just kept getting the same positive extremes at previous levels that had already indicated from before. We've got a couple of other ones in between here from lines that I had deleted that were right about there, so we would expect those to fill back in place. In fact, that would have been right here, which corresponds pretty close to what the low of the post-market is right now. So it just kind of matches those configurations. That was another DOC spread right here. That one caught a little bit of the buy, same situation where you still had the falling green. It started to pop back up and then reverted right back after a couple of bars once it got to the same high, and that led to a full retraces, which is what we're seeing right now. Just expand that back since we don't need to see all of that detail. Makes it a little So we've got a much narrower range, and usually when you get these kind of narrowing ranges, it'll phase for a little bit, and then we're going to either have significant breakout, and that's going to be easy to see from a 50K standpoint. Of course, from the daily suggests that we should move to the upside overall. So we'll just follow it along as it goes. But all in all, interesting stuff, and yet pretty consistently clear for us. So nothing out of the ordinary, which is a good thing when we're looking at it from basing decisions on longer term versus shorter term trades. As always, though, I will update anything relevant on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.